Now that the Death Tea arc is over, and we're starting to get standalone chapters of Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, I'm going to start blowing through these a little faster than I have been lately. This chapter in particular, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on. Not to say that it's bad, it's just that it's simple and it feels kind of fillery, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense with later events in the series, though I am going to try to justify why that might be at the end of this review. The chapter opens up with Anzu thinking about the other Yugi, now that she knows that the guy that she's been crushing on, the guy whose face she had never seen, is the other Yugi. Of course, she started thinking about him, and I genuinely don't blame her for that. And she does handle things maturely. She doesn't jump right into some relationship with this guy or try to force a relationship with this guy or try to force Yugi to become the other Yugi so that she can interact with him more. She's very passive in all of this because at the end of the day, she still doesn't really understand what's going on. So as it's time to head to school the following day, or later the same day, they don't really make it clear, the rarest of all cryptids, Yugi's mother, informs him that Anzu is waiting to walk with him to school, so he runs outside all excited because he obviously has a crush on Anzu. And she reveals that she has bought 2 instances of this little Tamagotchi thing that's kind of like a cross between Tamagotchi and Tinder, but just with fewer dick pics, where basically you put in your information, and then when you get near enough to someone else who has one of these things, and their information shows that they're a match for you, there will be a beeping noise, and you'll have made a connection. Anzu's already put in her data, Yugi puts in his, and there's no beep. There's some filler showing the characters living their everyday lives, and then one of the school staff, who is, of course, an unambiguously evil villain, shows up to quash their fun. He threatens to punish them, and he happens to find the little Tinder Tamagotchi thing that Yugi has. The dude even threatens to stomp on the game and crush it. But it is important enough to Yugi that the other Yugi comes out to stop him and challenges him to a game. He can keep the game and hide it somewhere in the school, taking 30 minutes to do so, and if Yugi and his friends can find it within an hour after that, they will get the game back and there will be no punishment. Of course, Anzu is stoked because the other Yugi popped out, and he's fighting so hard for this spare game that she gave to Yugi. It is, in her eyes, all very romantic, though I'm not sure that it is in the other Yugi's eyes, or even in little Yugi's eyes. This really does just feel like the same kind of thing that he would do for any of his friends. So 30 minutes later, they start looking for this toy, but they're not having any luck, and that's when Anzu remembers that it's a spare. She has another one. Maybe the other one can be helpful. Even though there was no reaction between the 2 devices earlier, and nothing has changed about the information on them, maybe when they get close enough to the other device, hers will beep and reveal where it is. The other Yugi is super excited about this because now they at least have a chance of finding the device. So he uses a bit of deductive reasoning to reason out where it's most likely to be. He's able to determine that this teacher guy, I don't even remember what his role at the school was, that this teacher guy didn't leave the building at any point, so the device must be in the school. And that leads them to the teacher's lounge, because of course that is the one place that a teacher can go where a student isn't supposed to. He also reasons that it will be on the teacher's person, since there was never a rule that it couldn't be, hence why they need this second device to prove where it is. And with something like 30 seconds to spare, I think, they are able to prove that it's actually hidden under his wig. It turns out he's bald and he wears a wig. Because, of course, when the 2 devices get close enough together, Anzu's does beep, despite the fact that there's no reason for it to do so. And I honestly don't know what this chapter was trying to convey to us by showing that. Because a different person holding the device doesn't change what's on it, and even then, it was the other Yugi that was holding it and Yugi's device which was taken, so are they trying to tell us that Yugi and the other Yugi are a true match for each other? Or is it supposed to be a meta-thematic kind of thing, saying that this more mature variation of Yugi, this more tough and headstrong variation of Yugi, is more of a match for Anzu than the original one, and that just resonated in the devices? I mean, yeah, that makes some amount of thematic sense, because later on, even when things don't work out between her and the other Yugi, as Yugi starts to mature, they start to form more of a connection with each other. She and the little Yugi do. So thematically that makes sense, but how does that make sense in the plot of this chapter? What's more likely is that the other Yugi just changed the information on Anzu's device so that it matched the information on Yugi's, giving him an edge in the game. And I could just go back and recheck the chapter, honestly, but I don't have the patience to do that, and I don't recall them ever saying that that's what happened. I don't know, the ending of this one just is really confusing to me, and it's kind of fillery anyway, so I just don't end up liking it much at the end of the day. Though I do kind of like the idea of these little love tester things. I don't know if they're based on a real game, but if they are, they're pretty cool. And if they're not, then I think Kazuki Takahashi had a really cool idea here. But that's really all the good that I have to say about this chapter at the end of the day. It's just not one of my favorites. All of that said, though, guys, I'd like to know, as per usual, if you have read this chapter of Yu-Gi-Oh, what do you think of it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord, link in the description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.